Well, it must be a Wednesday, and it must be a chilly Wednesday because people in Florida losing their minds, Vince.
Yeah,
They're losing their
I heard
minds.
y'all
Huh?
might be down in the 40s tonight.
Well, actually, it was in the 30s earlier
Oh,
this
okay.
morning. So, especially up there in Jacksonville and Tallahassee. But I want to say welcome. I'm Charles Morse with the original Coach Carter, where we come to you every Wednesday at 11 p.m. with Youth Central Sports, where we talk sports and a whole lot more. And as Vince, your old saying, which I love, midnight basketball is more than just a game. Youth
More
Central
than just
Sports
a
is more than just a game.
just a game. Amen. Amen
Yeah,
to that.
yeah. So how you doing up there? I mean, if it's 30 something degrees in Florida, you what's the weather forecast in Tennessee?
Well, when I came in, it was 19.
19 degrees.
Uh, 19 degrees, and
Oh,
so
oh,
and little wind, light wind, so it actually felt colder than that. But we're gonna warm up to the 50s tomorrow
oh.
for next
Okay,
day.
well then,
Then we're gonna
well then
get
you got some good weather
we've
on the
been
way
down for the
then.
last yeah, we've been down, but more cold weather coming.
Okay, all right, yeah. So I was saying, temperatures, where we at least maybe 4 times a year where we hit that little cold spell, and you know,
Right,
and I
right.
think I mentioned this before, but when I was going to school over in Daytona, Vince, I can't tell you how many times that I've been there, and tourists come to town during the winter, and one of those cold spell hits like now, and
Right.
for some odd reason, somebody told them that it does not get cold in Florida, and they were like,
Yeah.
we didn't bring any winter clothes, and
Yeah.
they thinking that it's like 80 degrees year round in Florida. Be like, no, trust me, it gets cold here. The only thing is, it'll be
I
cold for
mean,
2 days, then it's gone. It's not like
yeah, but it
it's
still get
weeks and
cold.
weeks of cold weather. It'll
Yeah.
last for about 2 days, and it's gone. So I've seen it happen many
But those
times.
2 days are cold. Those 2 days are cold. I've talked to some people up here, and they were saying, "Well, this is the first time you've been in this kind of weather." No, that's not. I've been in Florida. I've seen temperatures drop that low again. Doesn't stay as long, but they forget too. I've lived overseas and I've lived in the Carolinas, and I know about cold weather and I know about snow. So,
Yeah, right.
but
So
I'm
for
good.
for
Good.
people who watching that's not part of Florida, it's sometimes in Central Florida, in Orlando, in the Daytona Beach area, it's sometimes get down to 17 and 19 degrees. So,
Yes, absolutely.
don't let Florida fool you.
Yeah, don't let Florida mislead you because you can come down here and catch pneumonia down going to
Yeah,
Florida.
seriously. So,
But
yeah.
good weather.
Okay. So you got to give us the update on what's happening with your basketball team. Because for
Listen,
people who don't know, he's coaching high school basketball in Tennessee.
yep, Brentwood High School. We're off. The season's off and running. We're 5-1. Lost a heartbreaker over the weekend, but won an overtime victory just last night against a very good undefeated basketball team. So we're really excited about where we are, but short-lived excitement. We've got a big rivalry district game, our first district game coming up this Friday evening. So we only had a short time to celebrate that because we got to get back to work.
Okay.
But we're very excited for our guys and what we're doing, and I'm just glad the season to be started. I'm glad to be back on the court. I lost some time last year with an injury that I had that required surgery, so I was out the last during the playoffs and the run that we made last year. So I was so excited all summer long to be able to get back, and here we are. We're up and running, and we at them, and just can't, just happy. I'm just really excited right now.
Oh, okay. So the game that you lost, you say you're 5-1. What was the score of that game?
We lost by 4 points.
Okay. Okay. So you
Had
was in
a
it to
had a
win it,
lead.
but it just didn't happen that way.
Well,
Okay.
we had a 10 point lead and coughed it up and
Oh.
missed some crucial free throws down the line that I think could have made the game even more interesting.
Okay.
Again,
Somebody didn't
last
get
night,
some sleep that night.
boy, I tell you what, I got, and then coming into this game against that we had last night ended up going into overtime because once again we missed some key free throws. But the thing that I'm more excited about, even in the victory, is the way the guys played. I mean, they played like they clawed their way. They refused to give up. They refused to lose the game. And consequently, even though we made some mistakes that were crucial, we were able to just fight and claw. And that's good character for the team. So I'm really excited about that. And, of course, excited about the win. It gives me some promise about where we're going. So we're excited, but we got to get our work in.
Okay. Well, you know, generally, I make out my lists and the things that I want to talk with you about. And we had probably one of the most serious shows, a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about racial,
Mhm.
equality
Right.
and things like that. But and I was happy that I was able to send you that video because that was able to go in more in
Yes.
detail.
Right.
You know about the guy Norman who from Australia in the 1968 Olympics who won the silver medal in the 200 meters and all of that took
Hmm.
place. But during those couple of weeks, there was a couple of things that I didn't bring up because we were talking about those things. But I'm going to ask you a question in reference to you remember the Seattle Seahawk player, I think his name was Thomas. I'm not sure. I think he was in negotiation with a new contract, and I think he broke his leg or something like that. I think
Hmm.
he was. I think either he was. He may have been a defensive player, but you know who I'm
He
talking
was,
about.
yeah, defensive back. In fact, he had expressed an interest in playing with the Cowboys.
Okay.
Uh, and to my surprise, and the Cowboys were not interested, and they kind of, well, let's just say they took their time to deal with that. But I think he ended up going someplace else, and they lost that opportunity. He had come right out and said that I want to play for the Cowboys. I want to play for the
Okay.
Dallas Cowboys.
Right.
And but I think one again, not knowing all the details, but I'm believing in normally the way they think with that injury, they're probably scaring everybody
Okay.
about what kind of is he going to
But
be.
yeah. But the reason why I brought him up was that happened a few weeks ago, and I've been wanting to bounce
Mhm.
this off of you ever since because when he got injured during the game, he evidently gave, and they was trying to say that he gave the coach the finger. All right, do you remember that?
I do remember hearing that conversation
Right,
or some dialogue as it related to that.
right. And what
Um,
I wanted to talk with you about before we get into the other stuff, and I've been wanting to bring this up, was I had, I think there's something wrong, Vince, because we had two grown men on an international TV show having a discussion about when was the correct time to give somebody the finger. Now I'm asking you, as I'm not, I've been around not a long time, but the way that I was brought up and what I have learned in life is that I don't know that there's a correct time in life ever to give anybody the finger. But when I'm listening to these two old, what I consider men that are of age, sit on a national, international sports talk show, going back and forth on the debate on when is the proper time or when it is okay to give somebody the finger, I wanted to ask, is this a conversation that you have at the dinner table with your children on when it's okay to give the teacher the finger or your neighbor the finger, or you tell your child when it's correct time to give anybody the finger? So I'm sitting there and I'm like, you're on international, and I say not national, but international television, grown men having a discussion about this gentleman for, and whether he's upset or because, you have choices, and whatever choice that he made to or why he didn't sign the contract or what was up and coming with the contract, okay. But to sit there as two grown men, and I know they have children, I'm trying to figure out, like, what do you say to your children in the sense of in our society and what's going on in that avenue to sit there on TV and talk about the proper time to give somebody the finger. That that bothered me.
Hmm. Hmm. Unfortunately, that is, and I do think it's unfortunate that today that's a part of our society that we have bartered ourselves and negotiated ourselves into a point where we allow anything to play. I personally don't know that that's a conversation I would want to have, or do I need to have. Uh, to me, that's a ridiculous conversation. I mean, I don't know of any protocols that I would need to learn that would help me decide when I want to give somebody a finger, or even for it to be a discussion. That's symptomatic of what we have in our society today, which is why we have so many parent uh, uh, problems in youth sports that goes into high school sports, that goes into college sports. You don't hear too much about it once they get professionally, because nobody really listens to the parents. Then nobody really cares. But at this infant age, this young stage here, I have seen video after video after video of parents fighting on ball fields, whether it be baseball fields, football fields. I viewed one about 2 weeks ago on a basketball court where the parents got so incensed over a call that a referee made that they went after the referee, and the two opposing sides ended up fighting. And we
Wow.
kind of justify that. We say, well, it's understand. It is not understandable. It is not good sportsmanship, and
No.
it's one of the things that helps to damage the perspective the young player has about the importance of the game. It's about playing the game. It's about being great teammates. It's about being the great team you can do and perfect your skill. Well, now you have kids that complain about everything because their parents are complaining. They're seeing it done on a regular basis. They question everything. I have a problem with them asking questions. Don't have a problem with them saying, "Coach, can you explain that to me?" But they get to the point where it's not for information. It's for obstinance. I just don't think that's the way. But I don't. It doesn't matter what you think as it relates to what I'm trying to teach you about how I want to get that done. That's symptomatic of society today, and that, in my opinion, is probably one of the most ridiculous conversations I could imagine that you would have. Because what relevance is it? I
Right.
mean, was it applied to sport? What does it do for sport? What relevancy is that to being a good teammate and good sportsmanship on the field or court or wherever you're playing? That's a ridiculous conversation. It's a
That's what
waste
I
of
thought.
airtime. That's a waste of cognizant effort for me. I'm thinking, because the value of that, and where okay, if there is, so what do I do with that? Because it's disrespectful no matter how you look at it. That's not the way I was taught to play the game. Uh, are we in opposition at times? Absolutely. Do I disagree? Absolutely. Do I think they're wrong? Absolutely. Yeah, but there's a time and place for that, and there's a protocol to do that. That discussion to me is ludicrous, and it also is symptomatic of what we see in youth sports today, that's coming up from that t-ball and AAU ball and stuff like that, moving into high school, when you got people with unrealistic expectations. You got parents fighting battles for children that are playing sport when the child clearly knows, I'm not good enough to do what you want me to do. And the kid understand, but the parent believe my kid will be the next All-American, and I'm happy for you that you believe that. But reality says he is not. He is not. At least not at this point. Not as an eighth grader. Not as a seventh grader or a sixth grader, and sometimes not as a senior in high school.
That's
So
a
the dream that is not real. You know.
that's a
So, but these kinds of situations are symptomatic of allowing, because what nobody, what I think it does, it
Mhm.
teaches the young player. You've taken his interest now off of learning his skill and getting better at his skill, being a good teammate, good sportsmanship, to learn how to argue an ignorant uh, argument about when's the right time to give a finger. What value does that have? And so, to your point, and at least I agree with you, I think that's one of the most ridiculous conversations that I've heard in a while, and to have it on such a large stage. What were they thinking?
Right.
What's the value?
Vince,
Is that the audience
Vince,
you're talking?
Vince. It
Is
was
that is
on
the audience that
ESPN,
they're
man.
talking to?
It was on ESPN.
Now I understand why their ratings are falling so bad, because you people on there that just talking nonsense. Talk to me about the sport. Talk to me about coverage of activities. Talk to me about how to, give me a 30 for 30 on they got a thing on Bobby Knack, is coming up, that I think is very informative, as it talks about the breakdown of what happened to him, and the impact it has not on the players, but as a school. That's information that can be used. Unfortunately, it's an example that we can use to make it better. The appropriate time to give the finger, I don't get that.
But right.
I mean, I'm really
So
flexible.
So that's why I say you're grown men with families. So is that a discussion that you have at the table with your children when it's the proper time that you go and
I
give the
don't
finger
know.
to the children, the principal, the dean, the counselor? So when is the proper
Again,
time to give them the finger? Because you got to be having that
the,
conversation with them because you're saying there's a proper time.
there
So
is no proper time because it's an ignorant
exactly.
conversation. But it leads to all other implications, because the young mind that you're exposing that to does not understand that conversation, the proper use of that, the proper use of the information that conversation provides. They don't understand that that's an ignorant conversation, in my opinion, and that because it's on a program that's viewed to the public, this young athlete thinks that this is appropriate. It's something I need to learn so that I can use, and I have no idea why you would want to know that. I don't understand why that's a discussion, and I don't understand what you would do with it.
Right. Now, the other thing that I wanted to bring up and I wanted to ask you, which we didn't get a chance to talk about, that happened, and I don't know if you remember this, but there was this thing going that was big in sports where this coach took a jacket from one of the players, and I guess he was injured. I guess he's supposed to have been a star player. Okay, and so they were there was the discussion in sports about the fact that he's supposed to be the star player. He took the jacket. The player was upset and all this other stuff. But then there was two things that I heard where I looked and I'd be like, well, this jacket was supposed to be for players that was eligible to play. He wasn't eligible to play. I don't know if because of an injury, and they said it was a stupid rule. And then the other one that one of the announcers, former Heisman Trophy winner, said something in reference to, and you may feel different about this. Now you may feel totally different because you coach and but the notion was because he was a star player that he should have special treatment. And I'm like, that drives me crazy because as a coach, when I coach and when I am who I am, Vince, no one gets special treatment. I don't care if you're a 40-point game scorer. You're treated the same as the person on the third string. But that's just me. But the fact that I'm saying I'm the coach, I am the coach, and I can have the dumbest, stupid rules on the planet. But they're my rules, and I'm the coach. So if I have rules in place, they're my rules. That's why I'm hired. So if you can't abide by my rules, we got a problem. And I don't care how stupid you may think they are, they're mine. They hired me as the head coach, and these are my rules. You may not agree with them, but they're mine. So I'm looking and they're talking too much. Well, they're favoring the player because he's a star player. He's upset. He's mad because he had to take off the jacket, or they trying to take off the jacket. Well, how did he approach him? Well, what did he say to him? And all this other stuff. And going back to what you were saying about in our society and what you teach these athletes and how they are, it's just crazy. If I'm the coach, these are my rules. I don't,
Unfortunately, that is not the way it's viewed, because I've had a chance to coach now in a couple of different states and some different counties, and the way, unfortunately, the black and white rule seems to be colored when it's necessary in order to favor people. and what they're really not doing, really what the intent is not to give favor, but to cut down controversy, which me God gives favor, because I complain, ability to complain and withhold certain things that would harm your school, enhance my child's opportunity to be on this team and play or whatever. You tend to listen to me, and you tie yourself up in so much unnecessary nonsense about stuff that has no value. It's unfounded. It's a parent who's upset because they don't like the way you do something. If the rule is a solid rule, that being that it's accepted by your administration, it does not violate company policy, it does not go, it's not going to harm the child, it's not unfair practice, then if it's been approved by everyone who needs to approve it, it is the team rule. That's how we look at it. There is no discussion.
Exactly.
But what we have in society today, and this is all over us, unfortunately, we're challenging everything now. We think no matter how long it's been in place, I want to change it because I don't like the way it operates. And I'm not against that. If you think it's a better way to do it, let's sit down and talk about it. Let's discuss it. Show me how it works. But that's not what we have. We have situations. I want to change it because it benefits me. I want to change it because I want my child to have this, that, and that to me is what's ruining the whole idea of sport, is because we got more parents involved than we have kids trying to play. It used to be the biggest issue was, will this kid be able to make the team? Then will he be able to get on the floor, field, or whatever he's playing? Now it's whose parents can raise the most fuss, create the most ridiculous allegations, and tie us all up in unproductive nonsense about nothing. And so there's a case in point. If the rule is clear, it's not offensive, it's not discriminatory in any way. It is the rule. How, and once you allow the coach to put his rule in place, and if there was any discussion, someone should have had that with him then, which they probably did, and said, "Coach, you could be challenged on this. How do we handle this? Here's what we've got," and we move forward. To me, that's the end of it. Now, a parent can come in and say, "Well, I think that's wrong." Well, I understand that. We're willing to listen to what you, but this is the rule. This is the rule. And so, but you have wavering administrations. You have a wavering athletic directors who don't want confrontation. You got senior leadership and administrators say, "Well, just make the parent happy," at the cost of damaging the foundation of what sports should be as a competitive sport for young athletes or high school athletes, not parents. And it's not parents who's trying to buy their child into an opportunity. If it is wrong, if it has been some unfair accusations made, certainly it should be looked at, and it should be challenged. And to me, some of that's not always as obvious as we think. However, a case in point like that, where you got a rule that supports the decision, I don't understand the conversation. I can understand it may not be popular. I can appreciate that, and I can understand for that particular person they don't like that. Understood, and I get it. However, we have to draw the line someplace and set policies in concrete with and do. And I think, and I'm hoping that when that's done, a lot of thought has been given to the rule, the application of it, and how it affects everybody. But you got people challenging things just because it's not because the rule is unfair. It's just unfair to me. I want my child to have this opportunity, and it's preventing me from. So it's something. It's got the rules got to be crazy. No, the rule don't have to be crazy. The rule is what the rule is.
Right.
And so we are a society like that today. We don't accept anything anymore. We spend more time trying to change than we do to try to exceed. To work with and use it. We're challenging everything, eligibilities, what's that, a town you live on, what school you go to. I mean, it really is clouding up what sport is about, because the kids get caught up in all this political red tape, and it affects their ability for them to get out on the field and perform and enjoy the sport, because it's now they're taking the joy out of the sport for the child. It becomes a pawn now, it becomes a leverage, it becomes a political issue, and it's aggravating, to tell you the truth. Actually, because I wanted to make a difference in kids' life, and I love the game of basketball. And I love coaching. I like being out seeing kids reach those various plateaus. Some have no opportunity to go anywhere, but are able to reach to it too, and they get a chance to enjoy the experience of being in basketball. That's what it is for me. Do I want to win? Absolutely, I really do. But at the same time, I'm here to try to help build. I believe in the old-fashioned term. I want to try to win the right way.
Hmm.
I want to try to win the right way. I want when you look at me and you look at my program, you say, you know what, and maybe we're not winning. Maybe we don't have the flashy athlete or the fantastic record, but we're building character on and off the court. We're
Well,
building character. We're speaking into these kids' lives about being young men, not only as an athlete, but as a person that could eventually would become a husband and a father and a
well,
pillar of society. We're
well,
trying to
that's what I
build.
was gonna say, because they say, "Are you winning?" I said, "Well, I'm trying to have winners in life. Is what my goal is to have
You know,
winners in life." You know, I
and
mean,
I do think I agree with you on that. I do understand the pressure when because I'm in an environment right now where you got to win. I mean, or you got to make some progress. Let's put it this way. Yeah, we want to win. We want to try to build a kind of program that compete at the highest level, and hopefully you can win. But winning is, as you indicated, it's not always the W. Sometimes it's about, yeah, we're losing, but boy, we are fighting and clawing. We just don't have the talent to compete. But boy, are we teaching our kids how to really get out there and go for it. They're not blowing us out 30 and 40 points a night. We losing by 10, we're losing by 8 because we're fighting and clawing and trying to stay in there. That's how you evaluate that. Now, let's be honest. A lot of coaches' careers are based on their win-loss record, but I always believe when they terminate a coach, it's more than just win-loss. It's the techniques, it's the relationship, it's what are you really doing with the team? Because a lot of people understand we're not going to win, but are we getting better? Are the kids enjoying themselves? It's just so many factors that go into that. There are a lot of times we don't speak to that.
right? Of
So
course not. You
um,
know,
no,
yeah.
because it's all about, and I understand. I understand. You pay me, you bring me in, you pay me, and you expect for me to do my job. Absolutely, I get that. And but I do the best I can with what I have, and it's up to me to build and work on that. And that takes more than 2 weeks. That takes more sometimes than 1 year. Are you willing? Do you truly want to build a program, or do you want to try to infuse something into a program and make it so you can compete? It's all about the mindset. So the coaches, he's vulnerable both ways. Some coaches get caught. They want to do it the shortcut way. We're going to try to get this illegal player to come in. We're going to do some recruiting against foreign policy. Say you clearly cannot compete. There's some demographics talk about where you can live based on what school you go to. We want to bend that rule. We want to change that rule because it doesn't apply to you. It's not good for my child. I don't care about any other child, but I want we get into too much of that rather than saying, here is the policy. This is how this goes. And I'm sorry it doesn't work for you. You'll have to find some other alternative. I don't hear administration saying that they won't well, let me look into it. What is there to look into? What conversation we need to, here's the rule. It doesn't apply to you.
Right.
Next. But instead now we got to have a meeting to talk about the meeting that we had to change the rule that we all sat down and agreed upon. This is the rule. Here are the circumstances of the rule, but we're gonna meet to go back and discuss that. Just somebody say, I want to challenge that. There's
But
nothing to challenge.
right. And and, and
So
yeah, and on the same subject, which is really kind of the same thing that we were talking about, because your favorite team, the other your other favorite team, the Washington
mhm.
Redskins,
Yes, they
claimed
are
Reuben
really.
Foster, claimed Reuben Foster after he had been
Mhm,
arrested 3 times here in 2018 and was suspended for 2 games at the beginning of the
mhm.
NFL season. And then 72 hours after being released for domestic violence charges and was waived by the 49ers, your second favorite team picked him up and perhaps maybe
It's
play right away.
but see that's the NFL. That's a little bit different animal, but the principles should be the same, but they're not. It's a decision. Someone decides, well, I don't care about all of that. I'm willing to take. Cowboys real in the past have been And I'm a big, you know, I'm a big Dallas Cowboy fan, but we've made some pickups on guys that were questionable, but we decided to give them that second and third chance. Well, I mean, if that's what you want to do, I mean, that's the character of what you do speaks in the actions, in your actions. You know, if you have a high moral character, then that's where you operate from. And if you feel like you want to give a second chance to a guy who's a known abuser or drug addict and stuff, and you have a reason for what you want to do, I'm okay with that. But let's be real about why we're doing it now. If you say yeah, I know what he did, I'm not going to ignore it, but he's the best chance for me to win. Well, you're in the business of winning. I understand that, but let's don't try to cloud the character issue. Don't try to make like, like you don't care, that you're unaware of it. That, well, we're not sure about that, but we're gonna take. Yeah, no, you know, because I know for a fact they do investigations and background. They know what they're dealing with. They just choose to do it. It's true that I'll go ahead and take him. Well, fine if that's what you want to do. I don't challenge you on that. But then don't talk about moral high ground with me when you know you got convicted felons or you got abusers and stuff on him, and now you act like I didn't know that. Oh, there's no one that's been picked up by anybody that you didn't know his background. That has never happened, in my opinion. You choose to ignore it,
The
but you,
gentleman, and I can never pronounce his name correctly because it's spelled weird. Well, it just looks funny. What's the 76ers first round draft pick, the guard?
um, 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 Frank,
Right, yeah. Vince,
Mark,
right.
Mark
What is wrong with him? What is, I mean, mentally when it comes to his shoot? I mean,
Henry.
how do you be who you are, and then you get drafted, and then all of a sudden like became somebody else.
Well,
It's,
I don't think he did. I think the draft is just what the draft is. It's a speculation. It's supposed to be calculated risk, and they took a calculated risk, but they made a wrong calculation. He could not do what they wanted him to do, especially given they were going into the playoffs. He has not been healthy.
no, no.
And but you,
Vince,
I'm
that's not what I'm talking about.
you did,
I'm talking about his shooting technique, where he went from where he was just normally
no,
shooting the ball, and then all
but
of a
that's what I'm saying.
sudden everything went haywire in his head. That's what I'm talking about.
No, that's not. I disagree with that.
Oh,
That was
oh, oh,
already there.
okay,
This young
okay.
man got into deeper water than he knew about, and to try to compensate for the demands, he made that. Now he did have a shoulder injury, and he had another injury that took him off, so he wasn't able to shoot. And I think someone tried to change his shot, and now he's got his. So, but see, that's what again. That's an argument that I have about getting these young players, throwing them into the league because they think they're ready, and they go in. That's a whole different. That NBA is a whole different animal. Some of these star players that we talk about at the collegiate level, they fall in the NBA holding. We can't find them anymore. It's different out there. That's 82 games, and you playing sometimes back to backs 3 and 4 nights in a row against some of the best talent that's out there. A lot of these guys, it's not. It is in their head in the sense that they win. They done got out there and that little shot they used to throw at me, they slapping that down 17 rolls now. Where in college you were leading to it. So the dynamic is so different. This kid he came in completely healthy, and they went in the playoffs and he didn't play a lick. They put him on the floor one time.
Right.
He see the
Wow.
floor no more. And he was healthy as all get outdoors at the time. Then he had a good summer, shot the ball really well over the summer. Then he come back and they wanted. At first there was some conversation about trade baiting him, and then next know he's hurt again. He's got a shoulder issue. I really have mixed emotion, and now this new program that they're proposing kind of helps that a little bit. I think I kind of like it because it kind of gets kids prepared to help them live their dream out, but give them a good path to go that we were talking about that last week with Rod Strickland and coming in and running that. They had another WNBA player that was going to be working with him. So that's the avenue to try to get them ready for that NBA level because a lot of these kids aren't ready, man. They're just not ready. And I think he's one of those kids where he was oversold, picked as a first round draft pick, and he has. And I hate to say it this way because he's stunk ever since. They threw away money. They could have got him a lot cheaper, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. There might be some people who are followers of his who look at it totally different, and I accept that. I'm just simply giving you my opinion.
Well, sometimes it's somebody benefit when you can sell snake oil.
Well, there's a lot of snake oil being sold out there. They sell not by the bottle, but by the gallons.
Wow. Did you see that game the other night with Denver playing the Lakers? Did you see that game at all?
I I did not. It took place in the night that we were playing, but I did see the score. I see where the Magic also beat the Lakers
Hmm.
uh, down there in Orlando, which supports the theory that I have about people who they went on a 3 or 4 game winning streak. Now they're going to be six in the West, playoff bound. No, that's not happening.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
because they're you see them breaking down now. Okay, no disrespect to the Magic, but the Magic, the Magic may be slightly ahead of the Lakers in the sense that they have a little bit more continuity. But
hmm
everybody say, well, as long as we got LeBron James and everything is fine. Well, that's not true.
hmm
That's simply not true. He has delivered, but the supporting cast is crucial. And so we still got Carmelo Anthony floating around out there, and I don't know where he's going to land. Joakim Noah, former University of Florida, two-time back-to-back champion and played in Chicago, is supposed to be signing this week if he hasn't already signed with the Grizzlies, and he's been out of basketball for a minute. So, uh, lot of opportunities out there. It's a lot of changing. Game is changing a little bit. We're looking at, like you got a lot of young talent out there right now.
Now, are you surprised that Camille Anthony haven't signed with anyone yet? Are you surprised about that?
No, I'm not surprised. I'll be surprised if he gets signed, but no, I'm not surprised.
Well, he
I,
probably. I mean, can he
he
take
will
a
get it.
pay
He will
pay
get a
cut?
job.
Can,
He, he'll get a job. I just don't think. I think, in my opinion, if he gets a job, it will be a job that he's going to have to compromise on his expectations, and, because he in a limited role, he could be highly effective. I think in the right situation, but for him to come in as a star athlete, a option, and all of that, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. And he's got to be on the team who don't care about defense because he plays none.
have you been following the NCAA college ranking and who's 1 through 4 right now? Well, actually, who's probably in the top six? I think would probably, so because the Auburn game coming up this week. I think it's Auburn and Georgia. I'm not Auburn. I'm talking
You
about
talking about
I
football?
meant Alabama, and Georgia.
You talking about football?
Right, right, yeah,
Football?
yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, I have, and I I know once you get past one, or actually two, Clemson is playing well enough to be number two. I just don't know if they're playing well enough to maintain number two because they have been struggling. You got Notre Dame's undefeated up in there. You got I think in Georgia's the other up in there as well. UCF is number 8, and so on and forth. But Alabama's a juggernaut. I mean, you can say what you want to. They're playing that kind of football. Could they be upset? But of course. But I tell you what, the way they have everybody got excited because they didn't score in the first quarter of a game, or at halftime it was 10-10 and all that. Oh, they're falling apart. But I think they end up winning 52 to something. You know, they're tough to beat, man. I mean, anything is possible. But they rolling right now.
Were you surprised at that Michigan Ohio State game, man? Because I was looking more. I was thinking because all they ever talked about was Michigan's defense and how defensive minded, how great of a defense that Michigan had. But Ohio
A
State
little bit
came out and
surprised.
yeah,
But I'm not a Ohio State fan, and I really was hoping that they were going to be able to curtail the effectiveness of Ohio State, but obviously that didn't happen. They really got out there and got away from them. I'm not sure they're going in it. They're going to go that far, but they had a great game that day.
I'm looking forward to this Georgia Alabama game coming up.
That's going to be Georgia's been playing some very inspired football. I saw a little bit of one of their games. I've seen some highlights of it. They're very balanced. The defense is strong. Kind of, and I say this, and I say this just as a way to kind of put it in perspective. They kind of look a little bit like Alabama in a sense, and that is relationship to their balance of offense, defense, special team effectiveness, and how they get it done. They're different teams, but they kind of mirror each other in a little bit, especially in efficiency, point of emphasis, in the way they look at what they're doing. So that could make that so that what that comes down to is a great coaching matchup, a great chess game that could be very entertaining. You know, everybody, because by this time everybody know everybody. I know what you run. I know what you call it. You know, and so we just sit down and say, who can get off the snap of the ball? Who gets to jump first? Does the offense get a chance to get the block in first, or does the defense get a chance to be not blocked? It's going to be that simple. It's going to come down to missed assignments, who gets there first, you know, those type of things, which to me is going for me would be an outstanding game to be a part of.
Now, question: if Alabama loses this game, because you know already know they're going to be saying, well, they're among the one loss. Do you think that they're
Mm-hmm.
going to put them in the top four if they lose that
Yes,
game to Georgia?
yes, I do think so. They're gonna make a case to have Alabama in there, and it could arguably could be a good case. It's just the argument will come from those who are arguing for their own team. Again, we got to go back to what formula you're going to use to make that decision. And that decision, and that's not an open discussion. They already got a policy of how that's going to happen. That scenario is already being put into place. Is it going to make a lot of people happy if they get there? No. Is it going to make them happy? It can make people happy if they don't get there? No. Yeah, yes and no. So it's just going to be a controversy, but you're going to have to make a decision and move forward.
Well,
Because the
I've
what if
always,
and the how tos to me, it doesn't matter.
well, and
You know, if
I've
they
said a
lose and you
thousand
got a
times,
pot and you,
Division One football is not about sports in the sense of looking to do what's right when it comes to the playoffs, and it's about the good old boy network and the money. It's not about trying to find a true number one team or let the teams do what needs to be done in order for it to play out the way that it should. It's about favoritism and money. About those certain
well, I don't,
teams.
I don't know that I agree with that, but I do agree to the fact that they don't know how to fix it, and
Well,
I think
well,
there are
well.
ways. There have been
And
several
that's why,
suggestions
Vince,
how this
because of what
thing
I
could
just
be fixed,
said.
but they don't
Because
want.
in any other sport, it plays out. You have a tournament. When you win,
Well,
you
what you look at, that's what the difference is. That they're trying. There has been suggested that they mirror the basketball formula, where they have not, for whatever be the reason, chose to do that, and they've given reasons as to why they haven't done it, and they also given reasons as to why they can't do it. It seems logical that it would be done in a way that allow conference champions and stuff. So I don't think it's simple, but it seems like a more forthright way. Now their situation is, well, we got to study it. Okay, well, go ahead and study and do it. But
but they
meanwhile,
do it in I mean they do it in Division Two. They do it in Division Three. They do it in NAIA. But somehow another
yeah,
Division One they have to study.
absolutely.
That makes no
Division one
sense.
is your greatest money maker. It's the most highly visible division that's out there, and it is a marketing tool, and you want to
Right.
make it as marketable as possible. But in any one of those scenarios, somebody's going to be unhappy. The NCAA started out with 32 teams. Now we got 60. We had 64. Now we got 68. Now they're talking about we need to have 72. I don't know how you fix it. I mean, do you make adjustments as you go along? I think that's the key. That's what's going to end up having to happen. Are you going to make everybody happy? No. Is it going to be fair? Like this thing with that. I would look at a UCF situation and say, well, they're undefeated. You need to consider them. They finally put them up there. Now well, what was the argument? Strength of schedule, the RPI. Listen, man. If that's the way the rules are set, then give them the eye test, look at the numbers, to make a decision. Let's don't go around a mulberry
But
bush.
Vince,
But
that's not
not,
what sports
but
about, though. That's not what
well,
sports about. That's
sports is about the best
what sports
team.
about. But to them, it's not about the sport. It's not about really looking at trying to do the sport thing in the sense of what sports about. It's about the money.
Now,
It's about the, it's
I hear you, but I do think you can't have one without the other. It is a big marketing machine. It's a big business. You've got to try to make that thing as balanced as you can. But when you do that, you do have to look at the revenue. You cannot ignore, because the amount of
they
money
gonna
that's
make their
coming
money,
through, that
Vince.
every school is going to get
They
a
gonna
chance.
make their money.
Well,
They
they're
gonna
not
make
going
their
to make
money.
the money if they don't do it. Right now, they don't want to talk about it, but they're not making the money they could be making, because some people are disenchanted about some of the things that they're doing. They don't. Just like the NFL said, well, we're not going to have any Wi-Fi in our stadium. So what happened? People who love fantasy football stopped going to the game to stay home to play fantasy football. Now, to me, that's, I'm not, that doesn't appeal to me. I don't get that. But it was that big of an issue that now when you go into NFL stadiums, and some of them, they got a special room in the stadium at a live football game for fantasy ball players to sit there and play fantasy football.
Right.
Okay, at one time you could get no Wi-Fi in those stadiums, because they wanted all your attention down on that live game. It's changed now, because they said, in order for me to continue to be marketable, which all that comes down to making revenue,
Right.
I've got to change and give these people what they want. Football is going to get that way, but it's going to take a minute because of the amount of dollars involved. But they're going to have to do it, because people are constantly complaining. They're giving some, what I think, and again, I'm not 100% sure I have an answer for it, but I think there's been some scenarios that I think sounds good. It works. But then you got a lot of people saying, well, that's unfair. Well, how are we going to make it fair? And so it, meanwhile, they're going to keep doing what they're doing. People are going
Okay.
to keep
Well,
paying, going, they're
man,
going to fuss, going to stand in
it's
line, pay $45 to be unhappy.
it's time for a 3 minute sprint there, Vince.
But I took a short run earlier today. I'm ready to go.
All right, here we go. All right, my question that I asked, and let me get to it real quick, and that is, oh, okay. Who would you rather have as your sidekick? Tattoo, Robin, or Kato?
Kato.
Kato, you got that right. How many times, if you can remember, that you were stood up by a girl?
I can recall 3 times.
Okay, well, you
There
and
may
I
have been
about
more,
tied.
but
Remind me to tell you about my rule that I go out when I go to dinner.
yeah.
Well, I'll tell you about it. When you were in elementary school, what is the name of the girl that had a crush on you when you was in elementary school?
I do not remember her name.
Oh,
Um, not,
huh?
I do not remember this young lady's name for the sake of, but I was really impressed that she liked me. So, but you can tell the impression that she made upon me was such an emphatic thing that I forgot her name.
Okay. And so, who was the girl you had the crush on?
Oh my God, there were several of those. I was like a merry-go-round. There was 4 or 5 girls. Whichever one would talk to me, that's the one I had to question.
Oh, okay. Now, think about this. Give me 4 people that would be in your life Hall of Fame.
Oh man, my mom would be the top of my list.
Okay.
Um, and then ew, I would love to talk to. I would like to have Jackie Robinson. I'd love to be able to just sit and talk with Jackie in great detail about his experiences. And then to be able to sit down with Martin Luther King and say, could you enlighten me more? And then to take it to its furthest extreme, I like to sit across the table from Jesus and have a good conversation.
Okay. All right. Other than your mother, who I know influenced you, who influenced you the most growing up? Who was a bigger uh, influence on you other than your mother?
I think it was my for me it was the guys in sports. They had a great impact, and my mother would play off of them to either help me and or discipline me, whichever way she needed it to go. But they played a big role in helping me to understand what I needed to do and how to get it done, not off the field or off the court, as it related to my mom and stuff like that. They helped me grow up a little bit, and I would say probably my sport coaches.
Mm, okay. Okay. All right.
Mhm.
All right. All right. Wow. That's man. I was sitting there trying to think of myself, some people who would be in my Hall of Fame of life. There are a
Yeah,
few of them here and there. You
yeah, it's
know.
hard to get. I mean, there's so many people that I could say for various reasons that would be there. But I think if I had to give just four, and that's probably the closest I could come to actually. And seeing there are some people who were only there for a quick moment had a huge impact.
Right.
They weren't there every day. They weren't there for months and months. In some cases, there was a guy who probably had a huge impact on me. And I met him one day, never seen him again.
Mm,
Don't know anything about him. But the impact that he had on me that day, I think, really changed. Had a great impact on me, and never seen him again. Don't know anything about him. Don't know his name. Don't know where he came from. And we just ran into each other accidentally. At least I believe it was an accident,
yeah.
or divine intervention, however you want to look at it. So those people, I don't. And it's so hard because there's so many people that I look at through my life that have had impact in my life. Um, so many, so I'm afraid to call their names because there's so many of them. But on that larger scale, those are people who I would really like to sit down and say, "Tell me about this. Show me how do I do this?" Man, of course, my
Um,
mom was my mentor.
right. Um, I would love to have Franz come on and tell her story because she has a very powerful story coming from Jersey, moving to Florida as a little kid,
Mm-hmm.
and coming from an environment where she said she was surrounded by the village and she was very much loved and
Mm-hmm.
she had support, and then coming to a place where she lost her identity and she was bullied, and every day she was bullied to the point that she could not sit on the bus in the seat. She had to sit on the step where you walk onto the bus because
Mm-hmm.
it gotten to be so bad. And she said she lost so much of her identity. And it was because of a gentleman that was in the teen club that she said that helped saved her, that she's looking for the gentleman today because once she
Yeah.
joined the teen club, then then everything started to change. But she said also everything started to change because she said the day that I stood up for myself and knocked the crap out of somebody, they left me the hell
Mm-hmm.
alone.
See,
but
I
but she
really
said up
think
until then she was just bullied, bullied
there's
every
so
day.
many.
And she said the school bus driver did nothing, and she said she had nowhere to go and no one to help her, and then she said she just got tired. She just got tired of being tired. But the whole point that I'm saying this is that it was that one person in the teen club, this gentleman, who helped her, um, uh, help build her self-esteem, and she's looking for him
I
today. She's still trying to find him. 'Cause
I I I had the pleasure uh, of being acknowledged for something I don't think I really did, but young man said that I had an impact in his life, and I didn't see that, and I still don't see it to this day.
but but
Uh,
but but
going,
that's how it worked. That's how it
I
worked.
yeah, point is that I remember what he says I did. I don't remember doing that. Um, that was certainly not my intent.
But hold on.
Um,
I'm gonna let you tell your story. But how is that any different than what you just said about that gentleman that you met that day? How is
well,
that any
but
different?
you know, that's what I'm saying is that I I don't remember that because I was not there to impress him. That was not my intent. My intent was there to support and to do what I felt was what was genuinely going to help him. And not that I had all the answers, more than anything, just an ear for the day. And we went and knew each other for years. Just we weren't friends, but we knew each other. He knew me, I knew him. And then later on, I don't see him for several years. He's grown up now because he was a high school student, and he grown up. And I ran into him one day at the filling station with his family. Shocked to death. I never thought a young man would be married and have kids. He just didn't. That just didn't seem like it was on his mind.
Mm-hmm.
And he introduced me to his son and told, and in all honesty, I thought he would just introduce me, and he told a story about to his son about something I had done. I don't even remember that. I have no recollection of that at all. And I
Right.
and I, I acknowledged it because when his son walked away, I said, "Are you serious?" And he laughed. He said, "You don't remember that, do you?" I said, "I do not. I do not. I have no recollection of that at all." And it humbled me to a certain extent that I did something that might have been beneficial to somebody. I mean, that was
Right.
humbling in itself. I didn't know I was doing it. I wasn't intending to do it. I was doing what I thought was my job, and acting out on what I really felt about caring. And so I say all of that not that I say all that to support what you're saying is I've had that happen, and that's the situation I was in. I want to tell him just the time that you took, the things that you said, and which I could believe because you don't know me, and you don't have to sit here and talk to me.
Right.
You could have just let me go,
Right.
but he took the time to sit there and chit chat with me for a minute, and he kind of let me, and I opened up. I guess I needed to talk, and he listened, and he kind of challenged my thought process and gave me something else to look at. And just said, "Hey, I wish you the best," and got up and walked away.
Wow. See,
And
I
I
don't know
thought,
if I ever shared this with you, but I ran into a gentleman that I really admired as a ball player. I didn't go to school my first year out. I think I shared with you. I didn't go to school my first year
Mhm.
out of high school because I had no one to help me follow through with my scholarships. So
Right.
I was giving them the scholarships, and I don't even think I even really even opened them. They just went somewhere. I don't even know where they went, man. I'm
Oh, I
17,
understand.
18. I'm 17, 18 years old.
Right.
So, but I got it because you graduated, but you still associated with the high school because you still. That's your world. So I'm still
Hmm.
going to basketball practice with the guys, and there was a few guys that I really admired. When I was leaving, there was a lot of good basketball players still there at the school. And so as I went on to college in Daytona at DBCC, as I was finishing up my last year there, they were graduating. Okay, so
Hmm.
there was a couple of guys that I told my coach about, and I said, I need you to go look at these guys. Okay. And so Vince, I never thought about it. I never even thought anything about it. But they, he, I went to go tell them, you guys need to come here. My coach want to take a look at you. Okay. I'm leaving out a lot because there was somebody in Jacksonville that told my coach that those guys couldn't play. It was some guy from a white school that had
Hmm.
told him that those guys couldn't play. And when they came and when they tried out, he looked at me and I guess he must have known this guy. And he said, that lion, I can't say what he said. He said, that lion son of a gun. And he offered them a scholarship to come go to school. Now, mind you, I left and I hadn't seen those guys or one of the particular guys. Vince, I didn't see him for over 20 plus odd years.
Hmm.
Never thought about it. And I saw him for the first time since then. about 7 years ago, maybe six, maybe about 6 years ago. And I saw him and I was like, Leonard, his name was Leonard Early. He walked up to me. He said, Charles, he said, man, I think about you all the time. He said,
Mm.
you the only person that tried to help us, man. You the only, and I'm sitting there looking at him like this right here, like, what are you talking about? Man, you made sure that you came and got us. Man, you took us down to Daytona. Man, you introduced us to the coach and da-da-da. I'm standing there looking at him like this, right, like, what are you talking about? He said, man, you have no idea. I think about you all the time. And I'm still standing there
Mm.
looking at him like, what? And then I finally got what he was saying to me. And he was saying, man, you gave us an opportunity to go down there to go to school and do this because he ended up going to the service.
Mm.
But the whole idea that he was so passionate and he came and gave me a hug and he was like, man, you have no idea how much I think about you. And I was like, okay, all right, all right. So, but it was good seeing him because he's a good guy, you know.
Yeah.
But just to
Yeah.
share that moment and to hear him and to see the look on his face and to hear the words because you can tell he was sincere. And so for that moment, you just feel like, wow, like, what do you say? Because you just doing what you do. And you never thought anything of it. You never thought that you were
Well,
doing anything special. You just saying, hey,
that's
this is what you're supposed to do.
yeah, that's kind of what I look at now is why one of the reasons I coach is to try to be encouraging and to teach and be a part of something that I'm very passionate about. And but the interaction, man, is just unbelievable. It's so fantastic to be able to interact with them, speak into their lives, and hopefully I'm speaking the right thing into their lives, and to be a part of their lives, watch them grow through it, watch them go through adversity, disappointments, and to be able to and for them to allow me to be a part of that because as a coach, we definitely have a relationship on the court, but we have the relationship off the court, which to me I consider very precious. And so it's a matter of saying, how can I help you realize your dream? Because somebody helped me realize mine. And I feel like that's something I want to do is to help you realize your dream the best that I can. And so I get what you're saying. Yeah, I do it, or something, you do it only because you know it's the right thing to do. It has no other value to you. I'm not trying to win brownie points. I'm not trying to be
Nope.
your best buddy. I'm like, man, this is the right thing to do.
Right.
And you go on and you do it and you just keep on moving. And then people come back and think, man, you did such a fantastic job. What? I don't remember that. All I did was do what I thought,
Yeah.
was the
Yeah.
best thing given the circumstances.
Yeah.
So it's a divine calling without a shadow of a doubt. I 100% believe that.
Right, and
Um,
I know you
and
have experienced this because I've experienced it when some of the people, some of the kids that you coach, and you see them years later, and they come back and they share that moment with you, and you look at them
yeah,
like you were listening, really, really,
you,
you
you
like
you were
you
really
were like
listening.
you was listening, like you had no idea they was listening. It's like really, you
'Cause
was
I
really,
asked a
because
kid
then
one time,
they tell you something that lets you know that they was listening, but you had no idea that
the
they
only
was
way they
listening.
could have got listening. That's true. I had a parent tell me one day, my son, something she said about her son, and she was telling me, and I'm thinking, I've heard that before, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, I said that, and said that, yeah, that's why I heard it before, and she was repeating it, and I'm saying, you weren't at any of our practices, you weren't a part of it, and come to find out he had gone home and shared something I didn't think he was doing.
Right,
Some of the stuff that we're saying. So I think that's what excites me so much about sport and about working with kids is that they are an untapped source of
right.
of of joy, of life experience that if you can tap it right, what comes out of them sometimes is unbelievable.
Yeah,
Not to mention the sport.
right, and that's what here for people who tune in to watch, and that's what Youth Central Sports is about. We sit and we talk about sports and all this, but what Vince and I share is a passion to understand how sports can be used as a tool,
Right.
especially for those that let's just say fatherless kids. You could it could be the daughter, it could be the son, but sports can be used as a way of a great tool of mentoring and life lessons and memorable moments. And
Yeah.
there's good moments, there's bad moments, but also we try to emphasize making sure that your child is in the right environment, not in the wrong environment, not in the wrong place with the wrong people, because they
Yeah.
can pick up. A lot of bad things can happen in sports as well. So you
Oh yeah.
have to make sure that
Sports is a
you're
mirror.
right. You have to make sure that your child is in the right environment, because I, when I was in college, I traveled. I went to Canada. You have these memorable moments. You meet people and you build these lifetime relationships. There's, sure, I can remember missing a free throw, and I still think about it. And I still, because you remember the losses more so than you do the wins, but
Mhm.
the life
Or the
experiences
mistake.
and all the things that you've done in life, it's just words that you just can't describe. This thing
Well,
is what I call a child's game, is a wonderful thing, and it can be a very positive thing if you have your child in the right environment.
I'm reading a series now that I found on LinkedIn about being a parent of a youth sport participant. And this thing has really been interesting because now you've got a science that's being applied to how parents treat and act with their young athletes. And what this is saying is that we are shaping the next athlete, not his skills, but his behavior,
Right.
his mindset, how he
But that's what we was
perceives
talking
things.
about earlier. But
Yeah,
that's the
but
whole
I'm
thing we was
saying
talking about earlier in the show.
he's talking about, and he's systematically rolling this thing out and showing these different avenues. And what he's done now, he's gone from adolescence into that teenage year and how that parent is acting, but more importantly, how that child is acting. So that's what sport does. That's to the point that you talk about. It can be positive or it can be negative. I had a chance to talk with a father who made a mention to me one time. He said, and I didn't have an answer for him. He said, I don't know what to do. And I'm saying, well, about what? He said, well, my child acts just like me. And I'm like, okay. He said, I'm gonna be honest with you. He said, I'm a knucklehead. I was a knucklehead when I was playing. And he acting just like that. And I said, and he was really asking for help. I said, I don't know how to help you. I don't have an answer for that except that you have to get, and this kid was like a senior in high school now. I said, you gotta sit down with him and try to help him understand what you have taught him. You might not have intended to teach him this, but that's what you got to unteach him. And that means that you're going to get your feelings hurt. You're going to have to be honest with him because he said, I don't like the player that he is, but he's exactly what I was. And I said, well, then the only way he could have gotten that
Right.
is to get it from you.
Right.
So now you got to go untrain him from. So, and that's the thing, I think, again, about sport is so interesting is that we leave great roadmaps, or we leave pothole roadmaps, one or the other. And I think what we really want to look at is how can we leave good smooth roadmaps from this to life, because to me sport mirrors life, and the disappointment and ups and downs and relationships off the court, off the field, that affect what happens on that, and that parental relationship as well. So this what fascinates me about sport. I think I really just love what sport represents, and I can only speak to, I think you can share what it's done for our lives,
Right.
how rich my life is from sport, not only playing it, but being around it and then trying to coach it. Because sometimes I don't think I'm talking X's and O's, I'm talking life. I'm not speaking about team, I'm talking about an individual. I'm not talking about us as much as I'm talking about a relationship. And I find all of that fascinating. And to be able to impart that on them and them be able to use it to help better themselves is exciting. And I think, and each day is a different challenge. Um,
Yes,
and,
definitely.
you Yeah, so but it's fun. It's what I know. It's what I like. I think I can say I do a pretty good job of it. I'm not nowhere near where I want to be, but I tell you what, I really enjoy what I do.
Right. Well, Well, let's go ahead and run down this NFL schedule because guess what?
But let me
Tomorrow
talk to you,
night, huh?
but a couple of things real quick that I think
Okay,
we need to talk about
okay,
just for a hot second. Uh, just from an FYI standpoint, I wanted to
okay.
share because again, I've been a little behind the curve here with our own basketball thing. But in the NBA, courage is Warriors have been having a little struggle. I think in the last they're 5-5.
Yep.
Well, he's supposed to be returning this weekend. He'll be coming back to the team, which is
Okay.
really going to help them. I think that's going to settle them in a lot of the confusion that they have between Draymond and Durant and other issues that they're having him back.
Right.
I
Definitely.
think it's going to help. It's really going to help. Clay has played well while he's there. You remember we
Well,
talked
well,
about
Vince, to me, Clay Thomas is probably out of all of them the more consistent player to me. Than when you put it all together, I think he's probably the most consistent player.
you may want to look at the numbers on that, but I think you may be right about that. I mean, Clay. There have been times when I've known Clay not have what we might not call a good night, and that he didn't score the points that we think he needed to
Well,
score and to have a night. But he's
it, but
statistically
but I'm
he's
talking
been
about
very
all around when it comes to him playing defense, rebounding, and all the little
yeah.
things that
But that's what I'm
kind of
saying.
go
Yeah, I agree.
unnoticed. You know,
Yeah, I think
unnoticed.
I think it goes for most of them. I mean, most people have a strong dislike for Draymond Green, but his offense and defensive production would surprise you.
Right.
If you look at exactly how they use him, I'm surprised, but he gets it done, and so yeah, and I think that goes for all of them. I think once again, when you have a highly successful team, I think some of the small mechanics get overlooked because you're
Right.
looking at the bigger success. So I don't know the numbers, but you very well could be correct
And
because
and the
before
thing
when
is,
Curry
Vince,
was
he's
out,
smart.
there was no Durant, and there was no
Right.
Durant. Clay was the man
Right. Um,
putting that ball in
he's
the hole.
right. So he's smart because he gets it. So he knows how to be on that team and be under the radar, and he can still make his money and still do what he does.
I think
You know.
I want to give the I want to say I've said this before. I think it's a combination of the coaching staff and the ownership. They have found a way to get everybody to do what they need to do, give them what space they need, pay them well, and let them execute at the highest level. I don't know how they do that. Uh, it's a heck of a formula.
Hmm.
I would love to sit with them. I've heard Steve Kerr kind of speak to it. I've heard the GM talk to it, but I just believe there's more to it than what they're saying. I do think it's a matter of selecting the right players and getting people to buy into your system. I buy that. I get that. But there's something else going on that they're not talking about. And I do realize culture is important, but there's a secret factor, I think, that they won't share, which I don't blame them for not sharing. That makes players want to get there and perform at the level that they're performing because they reward them for it without a
Yeah.
shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
So, but also I wanted to speak to you about Kyle Carver. From
Oh,
you
yeah, yeah,
remember
yeah.
we talked
Trade.
being traded to the Jazz, and that's a smart move. And Cleveland has been really playing some decent ball
Hmm.
under Drew. I had a couple of wins. I think and because they love with the long term contract that he signed, he can't move. This was the only other person that probably needed to, that they rather anybody wants with. Nobody wants Larry Nance, but I think that's the problem. Unless there's going on there, I don't know about because that young man has a tremendous upside. He's playing good basketball right now.
Hmm.
There's one other thing I wanted to mention in that NBA here. Let me just take a quick look here because um, let's see. There's one other notable fact. They were talking about Fultz. There's a trade rumor around him, the young man from Philadelphia, that they're saying right now is unfounded. But it's something again he's heard, and that brings up an interesting conversation. So I think there's more to come on that because where there's smoke, there is fire.
Mm.
It wouldn't surprise. 76 GM said false rumors are just noise. No, the rumor that, and it's been my experience in following them. There's something out there.
Right.
There's something out there. Because going back to him briefly, just for a quick second, when he first came out, they were in the playoff. They benched him. He didn't see not one. He got on the floor one time, I think, and he never saw the floor again.
Right.
And he's been, so you never know. I mean, you just never know. So that's pretty much. I think there's some other things going on out there, but that's pretty much what those are to me two highlights that you wanted to take a look at going forward. I think uh, the young man that left Minnesota, Butler, going to 76ers has really, that may put folks into a problem that they feel like they could get rid of him. And
Oh
he's
yeah,
actually,
definitely. That's what I was thinking when Butler came there. I was thinking
well,
that
I
they was
wasn't
going to trade him.
sure, but that may very well may happen now. And the fit has been very interesting. I, I really don't. This next topic is something that I'm a little leery about, but I think you got to talk about. You got you got to talk about stuff. Have you heard anything about Dwight Howard?
Does
I,
that answer your question?
okay, I just wanted to make sure because I got a text the other night about 2 in the morning, and someone was they were reaching out to say hello, but while they were saying hello, and they made this allegation, and I said, nah. He said, okay. And about an hour later, I get a I get another text with a clip in it, and I let so what we're talking about has been alleged. Now, the first time I heard this, he was in a relationship with a transsexual or whatever. Now, and from that alleged relationship has come harassment and stuff thereafter. And he's had some people go out and try to threaten this individual, either to keep the relationship quiet or whatever. But it's blowing. It keeps growing. I mean, that doesn't mean it's true,
Right.
but it just keeps growing and
Right.
growing. And one of the things I'll say this, that where there's smoke,
There's fire.
there is some fire. And he got a slew of kids. He got a basketball team for a family out there. So I don't know, and I'm not accusing. I'm just throwing it up for the throwing. Now here's a situation I think is very interesting on the NBA level side. Is that Kawhi Leonard just signed a huge deal with New Balance to
Right.
represent them.
Right. Hmm.
That's great payoff for him, I think. He
Right.
played his cards out. He played it out, and see that's the kind of stuff. Um, Toronto's playing some seriously good
Right.
basketball up there.
Yeah, and actually, I was going
I
to ask you, did you know who had the best record in basketball?
I think it's them, if I'm not
Right.
mistaken.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
They're playing that kind of ball. Did you also see what Shaq's son is scheduled to have heart surgery in December?
Yeah. I had heard about that.
Yeah, that kind of came up and it kind of went away, but it's something that's coming up very soon. Uh, and gosh knows to the family because I've had that pleasure of meeting both Shaquille and his mother, and I would wish them Godspeed on that.
Yeah, I
And
need to. Yeah, I need to give
'cause,
her. Yeah, I need to give her a call. And actually, I was trying to. She was supposed to come on the show, and I didn't follow up. So I need to go ahead and
mhm.
follow up because she did say she would come on the show. So I need to follow up with her.
Here's a line of nonsense,
Okay.
and many people may disagree with me, but LeBron is talking about he would love to play in the NBA with his son, and his oldest son is highly profiled and all that. But I just think by the time his son get in the league, I think LeBron will be gone. But you never know. But just the idea of that, I mean, um, I don't know. I don't know.
How old? How old is the son that he's talking about? How old is he?
Kids in high school. He's in high school, which would
Okay.
lead possibly. Let me see if I have an exact age because I knew his age at one time, but I've seen some tape on this kid.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, he can play. He can play. Let me see. Has been a model rising. Yeah, he talked about that. Bronny. Oh. He's 14.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, okay.
No,
So,
no, no, no. Yeah, 24. Yeah, he's a 50, yeah, 14, 15 years old. But I've seen him play. The kid can play. One of the things LeBron has said early on in reference to his son was that he wants his son to go play for Duke, which makes me like him even less now. I was trying to like.
did
I guess that's not going
the
to.
with Michigan and North Carolina was on earlier? Have you been
And we
following that
got
game?
beat. Yeah, they got beat. They got beat 84-67, I think it was. I really was in hopes that we would have a good night tonight, but it didn't happen. We still got some growing pains, but I
Okay.
really thought they had a shot at it, but they didn't. They crumbled on that one. So that
Okay.
those are some of the most notable things that I can think of right now that's going on out there. Up here, we got a high school football championship coming up. Our high school made it to the regional finals. Pretty good year for basketball and I mean football.
All
So we're
right.
hoping basketball will be equally successful. Okay, now to the football, the NFL, my
Yes.
favorite sport.
Tomorrow
Them
night.
Cowboys. Boy, I tell you, we play the Saints. I tell you, obviously I'm going with the Cowboys, but a lot of things got to happen for us to pull that game off because the Saints are playing good football. I think Dallas is on a surge, a couple of game winning streak, but this is a beast we're about to play. Not saying they can't pull it off, but they're gonna have to
Now,
play some really good ball.
now is that game in Dallas?
Um, Let me check and see. I'm not sure.
If it's in
Uh,
Dallas, then it'll make it a little better.
it would if we could play them at home. I 100% agree with you on that. We can play them suckers at home. Although home field advantage has not necessarily meant a whole lot to us. When we stink no matter where we play.
Okay.
It's in
Well,
Dallas though. It is in Dallas.
okay. All right.
So
Okay.
I'm hopeful
All right.
that'll make a difference. What else we got?
We got the Bears and the Giants.
Eli had a good day there the other day, pretty decent of it. But I still think the Bears are win that.
You got man, I don't know what's up with the Packers, but they're playing Arizona.
Packers surprised me. I
I know,
expected a little
right?
bit more out of them. They played really well. They were playing really well, but I go with the Packers on it. I think they bounce back.
Okay, Colts and the Jaguars.
Man, I'm not a Colts fan. I'm not a Luck fan,
Hey,
but
hey, 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 the Colts been playing some great ball lately.
playing very well. And there's a lot of question about the Jaguars. So I want
Oh,
to
they
ride the
uh
wave.
they uh benched Bartles. They benched him.
I thought that, yeah, but they got more issues than just him. But I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with Indianapolis on that one.
Okay. You got the Browns and Texans. Texans playing great. Browns came off a good win this
Browns,
past weekend.
yeah, look like they had a little life left in them. But I'm gonna go with the Texans.
Okay. Panthers and the Buccaneers.
Panthers took it on the chin the other day. I thought they had that game, but I think they beat the Buccaneers.
That's funny.
Mm.
Yeah. You got the Bills and the Dolphins.
And Dolphins are struggling now. They don't know top from bottom and left or right. We're going. They really have me. I think the quarterback Turner Hill, was it Tannen?
Yeah, yeah. Tannehill.
He's back. That may make a slight difference, but and they playing who they playing again?
The Bills.
Bills had a nice little. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go home state on that. I'm gonna go with the Dolphins. I'm gonna think they're gonna create a little controversy here.
Okay. Broncos and Cincinnati, the Bengals.
Man, I
Which
like
they,
both
I
of
mean,
those.
I mean, they stunk up the joint with Cleveland. Oh my goodness.
I really like Denver. I think Denver's playing some serious ball right now. I'm gonna go with Denver on that one.
The Ravens with the Falcons with the running quarterback. I'm still trying to figure out how long that brother is going to last back there at quarterback.
Yeah, I give them a shot though. I give Ravens a shot.
Okay. You got the Rams and the Lions.
Well, the way the Rams are playing, and of course the Lions, I think, are really kind of put a surge out there, but I don't think they got enough for the Rams. The Rams won that game against Kansas City. I really think that's a big plus for them. Now it could be a letdown as well. Detroit could sneak in and sneak out there with them, but I don't think so.
Okay. The Chiefs and the Raiders. The Raiders.
Chiefs. I think the Chiefs gets there. I think the Chiefs are hungry right now. They're angry. And I think Andy will get them focused and make them just run off on top of the Raiders.
The Jets and the Titans.
Man, that could be very, very interesting. I'm gonna go with the Titans on that. Although I kind of like the Jets a little bit too, but I'll go with the Titans on that.
This right here should be a good game. The Vikings and the Patriots.
Yeah, it should be. I was thinking that the Minnesota would be doing a little bit better than they have been, but this is a big game for them. It's hard to go against the Patriots. They don't look that good, but they're finding a way to win. And one of my friends who's a huge Patriot fan made the statement that they may limp them if they limp their way into the playoffs, they're going to be a problem. And I kind of agree with him on that. If they get there, they're going to be a problem. But I'm going to give them the edge on this one.
Okay. The 49ers in Seattle.
Man, to my surprise, the 49ers have been playing a little bit better than I thought, but I like Seattle.
Yeah. The Chief and the Steelers. I'm sorry. The Chargers and the Steelers. The Chargers. I'm sorry. I said the Chief. The Chargers and the
That
Steelers.
that could be really interesting. I, I'm kind of I like I like the Chargers, but the Steelers they took it on the chin the other day. Some way they're gonna pull this thing together, and so I think it's gonna be this weekend. I think that they beat the Chargers.
Okay. Well, we got two of your favorite teams right here: the Redskins and the Eagles
I
on
really
Monday
don't
Night
care.
Football.
And I can't believe they're putting them on Monday Night Football. I really can't. As a surrogate
That's
of
funny.
Philadelphia, I am a Philadelphia. I'm going with Philadelphia over the Redskins
Okay. All right.
on Monday night.
That's funny.
Make sure you tell friends I'm gonna put on my Philadelphia hat.
Wow. Actually, I can't believe they won that game against the Giants last week.
I couldn't believe it either.
You
I
know.
was sitting there going, "Wow!" Of course, the Giants stink too, though.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
They're struggling, and one of the things that they were talking about is getting rid of Eli, but now I think they've changed their mind and decided they may go ahead and keep Eli for a little bit longer. But I think he's gone soon.
Well,
Yeah,
if he was on a good team, he would be effective.
yeah, and I was about to say too, it may be no fault of his own. His skill level could be, but he just didn't have enough to work with, and that happens.
Right.
It,
Yep.
to me, the Raiders are a classic example of that. They just don't have what they need, to compete.
Yep. All right. Well, that's the rundown of the NFL. You can like us on Facebook. Make sure that you subscribe to us on YouTube, and we come to you every Wednesday at 11 p.m. You make sure also that on Monday at 7 p.m. that you can check out the Journey 2020, where we come to you at www.thejourney2020.com, where we say at the Journey, where the journey is from me to you and from you to me, and where we can reach a higher level. And that's one of the things that we try to do here at the Journey 2020. But right here at Youth Central Sports, this is the original Coach Carter.
Mhm.
And as you see, we enjoy, it's more than just a game. It's more than
Without a
just a
doubt.
game.
Yeah, it's a lot more than just a game.
Yeah. All right.
It's an investment. It's a life changing experience. It's motivation. It's fun. It's a lot of fun in it. I tell you what, I love it. I love what I do.
Life lessons. Life lessons.
Absolutely,
Right.
absolutely.
All right,
Without a
Vince.
doubt.
Well, man, you try to keep warm, and
Hey,
if you give Florida about 2 days, we will be back up in the 70s and
Oh,
people can
y'all
act
be at 90
normal.
degrees. They were asking me, they said, well, have you given any consideration to going back to Florida? I said, yes, when I think about Christmas, I'm at the beach and you all are sitting up in a frozen iceberg and can't get outside. Yeah, I do think about it. I do give it
Yeah,
some thought.
yeah. All right. Well,
Yeah.
I want to say, keep warm, and everybody out there, many prayers. And I want to say, I'm happy that a friend of mine who came out of surgery, who's dealing with breast cancer, she had surgery on Monday. She went home today, so blessings to her, and
Fantastic.
prayers go out
That's good
to
to hear.
her and all those
Yes.
that are dealing with the days and tears in their eyes and a hole in their heart
Mm,
and emptiness and frustration and the loss of a loved one and deal with illnesses and so on and what we call life. Blessings to you. And
absolutely.
yeah, and so with that being said, Vince and I want to wish you the very best of the rest of this week and make sure that you tune in next week. And everybody be blessed.
Amen.